We are following breaking news as we come on the air here at 6 a.m. We just learned in the last 30 minutes, former Vice President Dick Cheney has died.
We'll have more on his legacy in just a moment, but first let's send things outside to John Ziegler with John. I know you're hesitant about this, but some snow possibly in the forecast.
Everybody wants to talk about Saturday snow. That's fine. We'll dabble into it, but the models that I like to use don't even go out more than 72 hours for accumulation. So pump the brakes. All right, on Saturday, for real. I will tell you. So again, that's the system for today. Here's why I pump the brakes. There's 3 low pressure centers in 5 days, 3. So the first one we got to get through, then the models have to ingest the second one to make sure that the third one is going to be accurate. There's too much activity. Again, I'll let you know. I do think it'll snow a little Saturday. Just accumulations, very unlikely. So today we got to get through that first as we go through this afternoon. This is what you need to know for your election day. Mainly dry here. This is through 3 p.m. A lot of sunshine south of St. Cloud. Here's that rain this evening that rolls through Bemidji, Grand Rapids, International Falls. So again, you'll need the umbrellas here tonight if you're going out there to the polls this afternoon. It is going to be raining up there this evening. That will stay to the northeast though by 11. Twin Cities probably gets missed here. In fact, today is an incredible day for southern Minnesota. Yes, we'll dabble into a little snow talk in your forecast. Cece, good morning.
Good morning, 6:01. It's been pretty quiet out there on the roads. For the past 20 to 30 minutes, I was tracking a crash in Brooklyn Park, Highway 252 northbound. It was right at the exit ramp from 85th Avenue, but that cleared up in the past few minutes. So your drive toward Highway 610 should be really good in that area and really anywhere else in the north suburbs. Take a look here at the 694, 494 loop, and within it, things look really quiet, all green. Same thing if I zoom out to include the South Metro. Things look really great too. I have one more new morning project to talk about. I'll talk about that over the next hour.
All right, Cece, thank you for that. Let's get back to that breaking news just into the newsroom. This morning, we know former Vice President Dick Cheney has died.
He served alongside Republican President George W. Bush for 2 terms between 2001 and 2009. Cheney was known as a chief architect of the war in Iraq following the 9/11 terrorist attacks. His family announced his passing. He was 84 years old. They say he was surrounded by his family, including his wife Lynn and his daughters Liz and Mary, when he died.
We will continue to follow the reaction of this news throughout the day. You can watch us on KARE 11 Plus right now. Our app for your TV, you can just download that and watch it for free. 6:02 now, and the countdown to polls opening across Minnesota is on. Less than 60 minutes from now, you can cast your vote for a number of races.
We have team coverage before you head out the door. Michelle Beck is at the election live desk breaking down the big races for us. But first, Audrey Russo is live at a polling center in Minneapolis with some last-minute prep for you.
Yeah, you can see the lights in the machine shop have turned on behind me just in the last 5 minutes or so. This is a historic venue, and it's one of many polling locations across the metro. And as you're heading out the door to go to one of those polling locations, first and foremost, to get yourself ready, you want to keep in mind, leave the political themed garb at home. Minnesota actually has a law against wearing any campaign buttons, shirts, signage anywhere near a polling location. And speaking of polling locations, here's how to find yours. You can go to the Minnesota Secretary of State website and put in your address and hit search, and there it'll tell you where to vote. Now, if you're not registered yet, fortunately you can do that same day. You need a current valid ID like a driver's license or a tribal ID, or you can bring an expired ID and a document showing your current name and address like a utility bill or a bank statement. Now, polls are open until 8 o'clock tonight, but what if you run into a problem or you see something at a polling location that concerns you? Well, there is a phone number you can call. I've got more on that coming up in 30 minutes, but you want to be careful when you're at a polling location about waving this around. And again, in a half hour, I'll explain why that is. But for now, I'll send things back to you.
All right, some good tips there, Audrey. Thanks so much. Well, there are a lot of important races to track today, and that includes the mayoral race. Michelle Beck is at live at the election desk with 2 of those races in Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Yeah, so let's start with the Minneapolis one. Right now, we are following the Minneapolis mayoral candidates through a packed election day. In just a few hours, incumbent Mayor Jacob Frey plans to cast his vote with his family by his side. His top challenger, Omar Fateh, starting off with coffee with voters, going door knocking and even visiting campus. Those two candidates posted late last night about their push to reach just one more voter. Mayor Fry is seeking his third and final term, and on the right of your screen, Omar Fateh, a state senator, is with students at the U. It's clear he wants that college vote. Other candidates hoping to be the next Minneapolis mayor include longtime Minister Dwayne Davis, Attorney Jazz Hampton, and Brenda Short. And in neighboring St. Paul, Melvin Carter is running to keep his seat as mayor. Challenging him at the polls this morning are Kali Her, Yan Chen, Mike Kilborn, and Adam Dullinger. So as soon as those polls open at 7 o'clock, we'll be watching for some other big races in our area affecting places like Wright County, Woodbury, and Guys Maplewood. So for those races, I'll have a lot more coming up in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, impactful school board and school referendum races as well today, Michelle. Thank you for that. And both of those mayoral races in Minneapolis and St. Paul will use ranked choice voting, something that's been around for a while, but it's still confusing to many. Danny Spiewak explains how it works.
5 Minnesota cities will use ranked choice voting, including Minneapolis and St. Paul. Here's how it works. Voters in Minneapolis can rank up to 3 candidates, and in St. Paul, it can be up to 6. You can vote for only one person, but remember, the more you rank, the more power your ballot has. So how is the winner chosen? If a candidate gets 50% or more of the vote, they win. It's over. But if nobody gets 50%, that's when the rankings go into effect. From there, the candidate with the least amount of votes is eliminated, and the second choice preference of those voters transfers to somebody else. That means if your number 1 choice doesn't make the cut, your number 2 choice gets counted instead, and if that candidate doesn't get enough votes to win, your next choice gets counted. This process continues until a candidate has enough votes to win.
Well, if you're looking for information about what's on your ballot or any other question about today, we have an election guide that can help. Just go to KARE11.com/elections.
We're live right now from the U.S. Capitol at 6:06 as we enter day 35 of the government shutdown, now tied as the longest in history. But there is some good news this morning. The White House now saying it will partially fund SNAP benefits for millions of Americans. The Trump administration says it will use contingency funds to partially pay for those benefits this month. This comes after a federal judge ordered they pay out benefits. But officials say the money will only cover about half of SNAP. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent argues full benefits can be restored if Democrats vote to pass the GOP funding bill. Democrats, meanwhile, say Republicans are intentionally withholding food benefits.
Democrats are in the middle of a civil war, and they should just open the government.
All Republicans care about is the opinion of one man, the puppet master of the Republican Party, Donald J. Trump. They don't care about anything else. How else can you explain the fact that they are weaponizing hunger?
The Trump administration says it would need at least $4 billion in additional funds to provide full SNAP benefits.
The Minnesota Loons put themselves in a must-win situation after a late-night loss in Seattle. 4-2 the final score right about midnight. With the Sounders evening things up, the teams come back to St. Paul for Game 3 on Saturday. The winner of that match moves past the first round of the MLS playoffs. Tickets are on sale for that game starting at 3 today.